Welcome to the Journey of Becoming. I'm your host, Karrie Mitten. Before we get started, a quick question. Are you ready to break through to your next level? Uplevel Your Life Consulting is where executive success meets soul aligned strategy. If you're a high performing professional or entrepreneur who's accomplished a lot, but deep down knows there's more clarity, more impact, more freedom, more you, then this is your moment. Our executive coaching is for leaders who are learning to trust themselves through big life transitions, balancing success with self care, joy, and alignment. Ready to leave imposter syndrome at the door and step boldly into their vision. Looking for a trusted guide as they turn unexpected zigzags into their most powerful path forward. With personalized coaching, proven mindset tools, and strategic vision building, we don't just scratch the surface. We go deep to help you break free from doubt, rewrite your story, and live with authenticity and purpose. This isn't about doing more, it's about becoming more of who you truly are. Let's talk about what's possible for you. Book a free clarity call today, and let's create a bold vision for the next level of your becoming. Visit www.uplevelyourlifeconsulting.com to schedule your call today because you didn't come this far to only come this far. And now, on with the show. So, our guest today is Chris, founder of Teaching Up, a global education consulting initiative that helps teachers, schools, and communities build practical growth plans to achieve their goals. Through her work with education startups, teacher training, and inclusive programs in under-resourced environments, she empowers leaders to showcase their superpowers and create meaningful change. Chris's journey is extraordinary. After leaving a 12-year corporate career, she has lived and worked in 5 countries in 6 years, serving with the Peace Corps, launching schools, and guiding teachers across the globe. Her story shows us that even when the path isn't straight, every zigzag can build a life of authenticity, purpose, and impact. So, Chris, welcome to the show.
Hi, Karrie. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I was so excited about having you on today because secretly I am a world traveler in my mind on my bucket list. That is part of what I aspire to do. But I just would love to start our conversation today by just kind of talking about, where you were, what gap you navigated, and where you are today.
Sure. So I think a lot of women in middle age, I had been in a career that was growing. I was successful. I was happy some of the time, um, working for corporate, and just as time went on, feeling more and more like, I don't know, this is not something's not right. I don't know what it is. I don't know how to fix it, but this can't be the rest of my life. And I had a great opportunity come up through my partner to relocate. But that relationship ended just before I was making the move to meet him on the other side of the globe.
Mm.
And so it was very clear to me. I don't know that it was even a question in my mind that this door for me to live abroad and experience something so different was wide open, and it was never going to be open like this again. And so I knew I was going somewhere. I took some time to figure out where that would be. I traveled a bit. Um, but it was really just my gut instinct kind of driving me. And I ended up in Vietnam and embarking on a whole new career path focused on education, and especially inclusive education in places where they do not have special education programs. They do not have access to resources, whether they're medical resources or educational resources, where I could truly have an impact on my local community. And so, out of that one change, moving to Vietnam, I got a whole career, and I've moved now to 5 countries as of next month. And it's just been such a wonderful transformation that I never saw coming for myself.
Yeah, I love that. And I would love for you to take us back to the mindset that you had so you were in corporate America for 12 years. You felt like, as we talked about earlier, you felt controlled, right? And that now you're in a relationship, and that relationship is taking you to another country, which I'm sure you were excited about at the time. But what was the mindset when it didn't happen, when things started to crumble and you started to, think about what next? What was the mindset there?
Honestly, I was in survival mode. So the timing of our being separated, because my partner had gone ahead in advance. And I knew things weren't good. I knew that our communication had suffered. I knew that there were problems in the relationship. And so it ending before I went was the greatest gift, because and even in that moment, that's what I felt. Thank God I didn't go there and have to deal with this in his environment on his terms, right? I get to process this on my own. But then the wheels were in motion, and things were just happening so fast, and it was like, oh, I have to, we had planned to put everything in storage. So it's like now I have to sell my whole life, and I have to figure all these things out, and I have to care for myself and say goodbye to people. And I didn't know how to do any of that. So it was just all happening so fast. I think that's the blessing in it, was that I didn't think. There was no thinking. There was just acting and using my instincts to kind of guide me through it.
Hmm. Yeah, I love, when I think about the decisions that we make, right? Sometimes the decisions that we make, my grandmother used to say hindsight is 2020, right?
Mm,
And so you made decisions in the moment that now you look back and you say you're so grateful for that, right?
yes.
So, and I want our listeners to hear this, that sometimes, we think, oh, we have to think it over and think it over and think it over, marinate, ruminate, percolate, cultivate on the choices that we're making. But in reality, if we just lean in
Hmm.
and take action, that
And Karrie,
action will lead us.
I think especially with the big stuff, right? With the big stuff, and you share this as a part of your story. You push it, right? I'm not supposed to think that way. I'm not supposed to feel that way. And
Mhm.
if we kind of, as you're saying, lean into that discomfort
Mhm.
and just ask ourselves the question, why am I uncomfortable with that?
Mhm.
Am I
Mhm.
uncomfortable with that because somebody else thinks I should be? Or am I uncomfortable with that because it's it's exciting uncomfortable?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, where's
I,
it coming from?
Yeah, and typically there's fear involved, right? And it's like
Of
the
course.
uncomfortableness is the fear. But when you ask yourself, like you said, am I uncomfortable because of what other people are saying or how it
Mhm.
should be done? Or am I uncomfortable and fearful because this is something that I've never done before? And I always tell my clients, fear is just the edge of the reality that you've known. It
Right.
doesn't mean that you can't, it just means that
Right.
you haven't yet, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Many years ago, when I was living in Colorado, one of my good girlfriends was going through a very difficult time. And I had, at the end of a hike, I stopped in the gift shop, and they had this card with a quote by, I think, John Wayne. And it said, "Courage is being scared to death, but going forward anyway," or
Hmm.
something to that effect.
Yep.
And I had bought it specifically to send it to her. And then I experienced my own bad time, like the very next day, something happened. And I was like, I think I need this, like, for me.
Hmm.
And I never ever sent her that card. And it has traveled all around the world with me. And it still to this day hangs up on my wall. And it really is the truth of using fear as a motivator instead of it paralyzing you.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've traveled to, it'll be 5 different countries, soon here, right? Or you have been in 5 different countries.
Well, I've traveled to many more than five. I will
Lived.
be living in my fifth country, um, starting in October. So October
Beautiful.
2025. Yeah.
Beautiful. And so every time you move to a different country, I'm sure that there's a little bit of fear, a little bit of maybe a slight hesitation, or maybe just a, what's coming, what am I going to see there, right? So tell
Sure.
tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, of course, there's fear and concern. Immigration is a complicated issue everywhere in the world,
Uh-huh.
and it can change very quickly. So I would say that's probably, for people that do travel a lot, that's probably one of the bigger, I guess, anxiety points. But for me, all of the stress of like, where am I going to stay? What am I going to eat? What am I going to do? Who am I going to talk to? What if I have a hard time or a medical problem? All those things that can get in your head and mess you up is counterbalanced now by the experience you have with other human beings if you are willing and able to be a little bit vulnerable and a little bit open.
Hmm.
So my arrival, I'm not going right into a sanitized hotel room that looks like every other hotel room in the world, right? I'm going into a community, and I'm going to walk outside the first morning and talk to my neighbors and ask someone to share a story with me, or just find a nice little old lady someplace and ask her a few questions about her life. And that way of connecting makes your brain stop thinking,
Mm.
because thinking is the suffering that makes us a little crazy.
Yeah. Or that
But
voice
when
inside
you're
our head.
connecting, you're in that present moment. You're not worried about the future or the past or what somebody thought. There's a lot of freedom in that. Well, I know I'm different, and I'm just here, and I'm just going to enjoy it
Mhm.
as much as I can.
Mhm. Beautiful. Yeah, and that connection really, we recognize that we are all connected, that there
Mm,
is no separation. And that what people, and you said this earlier, what people are basically under everything else, they're good. I think
yes,
Marianne Williamson said something to that effect. She said every act is everything is an expression of love or a call for love,
right.
right? And so when we recognize that we truly are magnificent beings, some at a very low awareness level. So, you know,
Right.
um, then we can all have this beautiful experience. And I love that about your journey. So tell me, okay, so going back to your story, so your partner and you decided to not go move on together. So the big decision that you made at that moment was what?
The big decision was that I was going to go someplace anyway. I
Okay.
wasn't going to stay in Chicago. I wasn't going to go back to New Jersey where I grew up. I wasn't going to stay in the US. It was, I'm going to go have this experience because something is telling me that that's really important to me.
Right, right. Yeah, and looking back, the decision that you made has made a lasting impact and a legacy in the world. So tell us what you're doing now.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, because of my background in business, when I arrived in Vietnam, I said, well, I guess I need to work a little bit and make some money. So
Yeah.
I started teaching English. I had gotten a language teaching certification before going, in preparation for the original plan. And that came in handy. But because of my business experience, there was an investor that needed somebody that had a good handle on both teaching and on kind of the administrative practices of running a business. And there was just a great, genuine connection there. And so they threw their faith in me and gave me this business to launch and make successful. Um, and from there, I was able to kind of replicate that. I found, after Vietnam, which was about 3 years I was there for, um, I found an investor in Costa Rica who was looking to found a school, an elementary school. And so I had the opportunity to do it again and kind of test the model, right? Because my thinking brain, that fear brain, was like, well, what if I can't really do this? What if it was a fluke?
Mm,
And
mhm,
so I needed to prove it to myself that it wasn't a fluke, that I knew what I was talking about to serve these communities in the best way.
mhm,
And that was wonderful. And in the meantime, I had wanted to learn, I went back to school to learn about special education. It was really important to me that every child coming into my classroom or a school that I designed had the same access to opportunity.
mhm,
And so I learned all about special education and inclusive learning. And there was this wonderful opportunity with the United States Peace Corps to come to the tiny Caribbean island of Dominica and work with the Ministry of Education and a local school here on the island to help their teachers get a little bit more prepared to lead inclusive initiatives within their classrooms. And it's been wonderful. I
mm,
highly recommend Dominica as a nice stop on your travels. It's called
mhm.
Nature Island if you're in for outdoor adventures. It is an absolute dream.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so and in the meantime, I realized that I was going to be able to serve more communities as a consultant than just going into one location at a time or finding one founder at a time.
Mhm,
And so over the last about 2.5 years, I've been working with different school leaders and people that have educational nonprofits or NGOs, anyone that is looking to be a little bit more inclusive in their education program practices. And
mhm.
it's just been wonderful. So I'm excited to make a new start in a new place quite soon and partner with some new organizations.
Yeah, and Chris, incredible legacy that you're leaving to the education, right? Education is the key to everything, and supporting our teachers and communities that maybe don't have that, that support. Speaking of support, tell me or tell us, who is your mentor, your guide, your coach to support you on your journey? Who supports you?
Oh my gosh, I have had a few coaches and mentors throughout this journey and a couple of really wonderful friends. That community, having people you can go to and say, I don't know what I'm doing, help me work this out,
Mhm,
is so valuable. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention the original founder that hired me in Vietnam, Keith
mhm,
Tacey and his family, who brought me into their family and
mhm,
really gave me the opportunity to learn who I authentically was.
mhm,
It wasn't just a job, it was that stepping stone to me getting into myself.
mhm,
And I'll be
mhm.
forever grateful to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And as a coach myself, I know I am still coached. I believe that we are all in community, that we can't grow without community, and it's important to stay in a structure of support. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it doesn't, I think it's important too to remember that formal coaching is fantastic and there's so much value in that. But there's so many different ways that it can look, right? So having those barriers in our mind of, well, I can't afford a coach right now, or I don't really know what my goal is, so I can't start with a coach because I don't know where I'm going. Um, all you need really is someone willing to take a moment and listen to you and ask you questions, right? It's not about somebody else telling you what the answers are. It's just about somebody asking you the questions that you can take and later reflect on and process and say, oh, what am I doing?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I tell my clients all the time, I am not your fairy godmother. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to sprinkle fairy dust, right? You get to do the work. I'm just here to
Yes.
guide you through it. Yeah. So share with us, Chris, what's your next level? What's your next level of becoming? What's happening for you next?
So I am now going all in on my consulting work with teaching up. And I will be looking to onboard some really specific clients where I can have that very large impact. I also have an inclusive training guide that I'll be working to get published in the next few months. So please, if your listeners have any publishing resources, I am looking for a formal publishing process. But I think it's something where whether you're teaching in a school with a smart board or underneath a mango tree with not one single book, you can have more inclusive practices. And this is a guide that's written in very plain language, but it's based on evidence, education, and medical research, and put framed in a way where anybody can take that information and support the kids around them a little bit more completely and a little bit more based on their needs. And I think that's really important, especially in the non Western world.
I think even in the Western world, I remember when my kids were in school and they went to a charter school that really taught them in their way of learning, right? My
Mm-hmm.
son was diagnosed with ADHD, and so he learned better standing up than sitting down, right? So I think
Right.
that's so important for anyone, even parents, right, who are raising
Yes.
children, how to support their children in the best way that they know how to learn. Yeah.
Right.
Awesome. Okay, so looking back at everything you've gone through to get where you are today, what's the one piece of advice that you'd love to give someone who's listening today who's on their journey of becoming?
Yeah. My advice would be just take one baby step. Take
Mm,
one baby step forward. It doesn't have to be toward anything. You don't have to know where you're going. But if you don't make one small change, you won't ever have a big change.
mhm,
So, whatever you think that baby step is, kind of lean into your gut and go for it and just scooch
mm.
forward a little bit.
Right? Yeah, I tell my clients all the time, you can climb Mount Everest in baby steps, right? So just take
Absolutely.
the step. Just take the step. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for sharing your incredible journey with us, Chris. It's been a pleasure, hearing about your journey of becoming, the lessons that you learned along the way. I'm sure our listeners are going to feel inspired to take bold steps in their own lives. Before we wrap up, where can our listeners connect with you and learn more about your work?
Absolutely. The easiest way to find me is to go to my website, teaching-up.com. My contact information is there. More information and a link to some of my digital resources are available for anyone that might want to share them. Karrie, thank you so much
Oh, it's
for
been my
chatting with me
pleasure.
today.
Yes, it's been so great. And I know that, your story is going to make a great impact with everyone who is on their journey of becoming. And if you're listening and tuning in, remember your journey of becoming starts with one brave step. So take it today. Until next time, keep embracing your transformation. Thanks, Chris.